Professor Madhav Nalapat on the telecast with me. Professor Nalapat, finally, it looks like the wait is over. Sunita Williams and her ally Wilmore are going to be arriving back on Earth in America at the NASA headquarters. This is going to take place on 16th of March. Date has been set.
Yeah, I'd like to say that that's going to be a very complex maneuver. For one thing, when they enter the Earth's atmosphere, it's going to be terribly hot, and hopefully the spacecraft will be able to withstand the heat. They normally do. There are only very exceptional cases in which it has not happened, and then they have to navigate very safely. I mean, Houston has got to navigate them very, very carefully back to safety in water. So it is a very complex procedure, a procedure involving very minute changes of direction. For example, it's like threading a needle every few seconds. It's not easy, and I can tell you very clearly, these are two astronauts who are among the best in the world. And of course, you heard the word Druzhba, Russian. I mean, frankly, it's a joint America-Russia collaboration.
Yes.
And now the new captain is going to be a Russian, and that shows the importance of what President Trump is attempting, a rapprochement between the U.S. and Russia. If these two
Right, Professor Nalapat, you rightly mentioned, you rightly mentioned that now the reins of the space station, the International Space Station, are going to be taken over by the Roscosmos cosmonaut by the name of Alexander Gorbanov. There were big allegations, statements, claims being made by the Trump government, by Donald Trump, by Elon Musk, that this was an alleged sabotage of sorts, that the Biden administration was not willing to bring back Sunita Williams in time.
Yeah, I would definitely not agree with that, Megha. There's not going to be sabotage of one's own spacecraft. I mean, the Russians are not going to do it, and the Americans are not going to do it. So I would not buy into that theory at all. I don't believe there's any question of sabotage. It was a series of technical glitches, and there are many. It's a very complex procedure, getting into orbit and then coming back from orbit. Extremely complex procedure. And I really congratulate the astronauts, the two astronauts who are coming back. And I pray that they come back safely and we'll all be able to witness it on television. But the reality of the situation is, I don't believe there's any sabotage. There were malfunctions, but these are part of the process of perfecting a technology. And SpaceX is working on perfecting a technology. And that's why NASA feels confident enough to ensure that this time around, the astronauts will be brought back. NASA has got a lot at stake in this, a huge reputation to protect. And I think we can rely on them to ensure that they come back in safety. We can rely on the two astronauts to pilot their way to safety. And I'm very hopeful everything will end properly. And there's no question of sabotage made.
Professor Nalapat, it's also, we have to be cautiously optimistic over here, because there have been two attempts that were previously made and they failed miserably. The Boeing Starliner spacecraft was not able to bring back Sunita Williams and Wilmore Butch back to Earth. This time around, an attempt being made by SpaceX. Again, how promising is this expedition going to be to bring back both the astronauts?
Look, Megha, let me tell you that NASA will be learning from every such failed mission. They'll be learning an enormous number of things. For example, you remember the Challenger just exploded in midair, and NASA, worked out what were the problems, where the leaks were, what the problems were, and I don't think we have seen that kind of a tragedy again. So quite frankly, the aborted landings, they were aborted in the interest of safety. They were not aborted because of willful desire to abort. So I'd only like to say that, yes, we have to be cautiously optimistic, but we have to be absolutely clear about one thing. NASA is determined to bring these two very brave astronauts back, and the Russians are determined to ensure that their cosmonauts join them safely on the International Space Station. So I have every expectation that this time around the lessons would have been learned, and this time around there'll be no glitch. Thank you, Meg.
Thank you, Professor Nalapat, for joining me.